ready for the Dogs to get started quickly and come out from this first point ready to play and execute.
Kentucky looking for a weekend sweep. Georgia looking to get back on the right side of things here as this one off the back row, and Brooklyn DeLay has that one go off her. Georgia will take the opening point.
Yeah, and for sure, Georgia wants to get their right pin, M.K. Patton, into the offense as quickly as possible. Not only does that alleviate some of the pressure to the left pin, but diversifies the offense and leads to a more balanced attack.
That one fired off the Georgia block. Asia Thigpen over there on that left pin. That's time for Kentucky. She'll go at it one more time. And no touch there. That one wide. Georgia, a 2-0 start here in set number one. Exactly what they needed.
And Asia Thigpen, a freshman from Pittsburgh, North Carolina. Coaching staff really loves her competitive fire. Playing a little bit undersized out there at 5'10".
Wilson from the right pin that time. Here comes Georgia on the attack. Biana Maneke. And a 3-0 start here in set one.
Definitely a definitive kill, and Clara Brower certainly having a lot of confidence going out to Maneke early. Got a big block over there against Megan Wilson, tallest player on the court.
Anna Julia Bleeker had that one nearly go wide. Kentucky went back and got it, and this one off of Brooklyn DeLay, and a 4-0 start for Georgia.
Clara Brower doing a great job of getting out there, turning that hip back into the court, getting her shoulders well placed to block that ball back into the middle of the floor.
Off the top of the net there, that time off the serve. Here's Kentucky from the middle. And that one's going to be wide once again.
Yeah, DeLay coming out of the middle back for the pipe on that set. Really nicely handled swing, just didn't have quite enough topspin on it to find the floor. With Asia Thigpen struggling to side out there on the left pin, Kentucky trying to get DeLay in the offense from the back row.
Georgia hitting north of 600 here early. Back over the block, that one sent wide, going to be 6-0 Georgia.
Yeah, interesting time for Kentucky, coming out at the start of this match, not siding out with the regularity that they're used to. Many of those swings going to the left pin and to Asia Thigpen, again, just a freshman, but up against a strong Sophie Fisher block.
Saw Tom Black there looking on for Georgia. There he is once again. NCAA appearance a season ago, and is a lot expected out of this Georgia squad here. Early pick, finished 3rd, 4th in the SEC preseason poll, but the injuries just really held this team back early on, just now getting to full strength as Asia Thigpen will serve here for Kentucky.
Yeah, and even some of the players that they were relying on, or thinking they were going to rely on at the beginning of the season, Tori Harper has had to take a redshirt season just because the injury has taken longer to heal. So Georgia's never gotten every single player on the roster that they thought would be available at the start of the season on the floor. But certainly they're as healthy as they're going to be at this point and playing well when they are in system.
Georgia in a similar position last year, backs against the wall late in the season, needing to get hot to make the NCAA tournament, and in a similar position here once again. That's something that Tom Black talked about, familiar territory for his squad, and you just look at how tough that has been. Tori Harper has yet to appear here, and Kay Patton missed an extended period of time with a broken finger. It has been tough to really know what you got there when you're not at full strength. At one time, Georgia only had a handful of healthy players.
Yeah, I mean, they were slim in every position. Had players playing out of position in a couple of conference matches either, especially when Maneke had to sit out for a couple with a slight injury. She only missed those 2 matches, but even still, Georgia not deep this year.
Back row slide there. Thigpen for Kentucky. Georgia tapping that thing all over the place and unable to get it back over there. Erica Lovett And Kentucky with the point. Craig Skinner, 20th season. Got that national championship during the COVID year, 2020. And we talked earlier, rough start to the season. Just played an incredibly challenging non-conference slate, which prepared this squad so well for SEC play. And good, once again, you try to get the ace on the serve.
Yeah, I don't think Coach Skinner, I don't think it bothered him at all that they had a really tough September. I mean, he had a young squad, a couple of veterans of Wilson and Grome, of course, but for the most part, everyone else on the floor relatively new to collegiate play, taking red shirts last year and so forth, and just true freshmen. But he knows that when you schedule a really tough September, it puts you in a better position day in and day out. And what every coach that we've spoken to this season has told us is the best SEC in terms of talent level from top to bottom. And you see that paying off for Kentucky. And even now, you know, getting down early to Georgia, 6-0, 6-1, 7-1. They're playing back into this. This is another day at the office. They know the match is long, the sets are long. They're going to play through any tough, you know, little patches.
Yeah, no thought of a timeout there as Kentucky has played its way back into this thing. And you look in the non-conference slate, number 2 Nebraska, number 7 Penn State, number 7 Purdue, number 4 Louisville, number 2 Stanford. Lost all of them, but played them well. That gets you ready for conference play.
Well, that's how you have a really high RPI, right?
Yeah. Georgia will get that point and go back up 3 now, 9-6. Point Kentucky there and brings Kentucky back within 2. And you mentioned it, rough start there. Georgia goes up pretty big early. Kentucky experience over the course of this season, starting to play back into this thing now down just 2.
Yeah, Kentucky had a bit of a problem with Georgia's serve early to start the set, but they've settled in at this point, playing in a better rhythm, getting into more rallies, getting more solid swings, and now their first block, Asia Thigpen, struggling to the start of this set, and that block really, you can see the fire and the intensity on her face when she came down there like, I can play. I had a rough start, but I'm here.
Thigpen, a freshman from Pittsburgh, North Carolina. And an ace on the serve for Kentucky, buried that one on the back row. And just like that, the Wildcats have came back and tied this thing at 9.
A beautiful, beautiful serve by DeLay. That ball just fell right there on the inline. So much velocity. It's like taking a full-on attack from the inline.
And Brower set a hot shot from the middle there. Cece Gooch.
Yeah, that 31, Gooch. Gooch got all of that. That ball ricocheted off of DeLay's shoulder hard. Really nice, authoritative side out from Cece Gooch. Typically, when Cece Gooch is firing, the dogs are firing.
Hard block, and that one going to drop in. I think there might have been some question of was that one blocked out or not. Craig Skinner picks up the challenge card. He's asking his team. And I think he's going to put it back on the table there. He thought about challenging that one.
That ball came down off of the block really quickly. That was a very solid roof. Not a single leak in that. But Kentucky gets that side out really quickly off of the Georgia service error. So we're pretty much even Steven again. Kentucky really has fought their way, clawed, we could say, their way back into this set 1.
Here's Maneke. That one splits the block and gets back in.
A really good job in transition of Georgia getting a nice touch on the block defense. Bailey Cox comes up with that dig, and good, nice set out to the left pin. Manecki had a really fast approach and took a crack at that one, showing her range and athleticism on that nice high contact swing.
All the way back over, and then that one's tooled off of Brome as she went up to try to block it. 13-10 Georgia. And we talked pre-match. How's Georgia going to come out and play after a tough loss Friday night against Tennessee? Playing really well here so far. They look locked in.
They look like they're coming out with something to prove.
And a big block there. That one right into the teeth of one of Georgia's strongest blocks there is Sophie Fisher and M.K. Patton. Tag team for that one.
It's a really nice block between the two of them. You don't get a much bigger block than 2 6'5" athletes side by side. Well connection, good timing. Really tough block. Asia Thigpen has her work cut out for her against that block.
Boom. Set that one there nicely. Here's Brooke DeLay getting in on it.
DeLay so strong there. Such a strong approach from that behind the 3-meter line on the right side, that D set. Really well done. Can't tell that that is an attacker hitting from behind the 3-meter line.
Timeout to wipe the floor up. Kentucky down 3 here as we approach the 15 timeout. Rome's going to serve it here for the Wildcats. Manecki to the back row.
And that right there is one of the things that you look at when you look at Georgia's fast tempo.
To 15-11, Georgia leading Kentucky. Early here, Stan McCallum, an emphatic block there leading into the timeout.
Yeah, with Georgia's fast tempo, take a look at this block. See how Jordan Daly goes up at completely the wrong time, and Megan Wilson's left out there by her own, and that makes for an easy kill for Bianna Manecki. You got so many different players running so many different routes. It's really easy for blockers to get confused and go on a missed assignment, and that's what happened to the freshman there in the middle.
Emphatic, but timed wrong. It's a learning opportunity there. You said freshman, too. At what point do you feel like, having played, are you no longer a freshman?
Well, that's a great question, Caleb. I do think that many of the athletes are playing so much volleyball before they get to college at this point, and many are coming into gyms early and getting at a whole training season. And so I do think freshmen are growing up more quickly than ever. But I haven't talked to many players that don't walk into a collegiate gym and don't feel immediately how much higher the level of talent is across the board. And you got a lot of freshmen playing this year. It seems to me as we watch these matches, you have a few veterans on a team, and then you got a lot of newcomers. I remember watching the LSU-Georgia match not long ago, and that team was riddled with freshmen. And I remember Coach Johnson saying, yeah, they can't be freshmen anymore. They've got to be grown up because there's no one else that's going to come in after them. So you just have to, on-the-job training, make it happen. That's exactly what the call was. That was another close call by the line judge. From where I was sitting, it looked like that ball could have landed on the inline, but it was called out, and so Georgia gets the quick sign out. Georgia holding on to 4-point lead here as we move into the latter part of set 1.
Kentucky will get the point.
Nice swing that time by Brooke Baltima. You can see that last replay call, that ball being swung completely out and up over the block. Again, good challenge by Kentucky.
Georgia drops that one in on the back row. Miss Georgia continuing to maintain about a 3 to 4 point lead here as they go back and forth. And that hot start early may be enough to propel Georgia as it gets later here into set one. Hooked over there by Kentucky. Big block by the Wildcats. Brooke Baltimore.
Again, coaches saying so many good things about Baltimore, how she is the hardest working player in Kentucky's gym. Just a redshirt freshman, again, another youngin' for Kentucky. Errant serve there by Brooklyn DeLay. Unfortunate, again, Kentucky needing to make up some ground. Georgia holding on to this 4-point lead.
Erica Lovett puts that one into the net. Give Kentucky the serve back and a 3-point lead for Georgia.
That's what Georgia wants back. I mean, that's, you know, you really don't want to miss a serve after the team on the other side of you just missed a serve, and you certainly don't want to miss a serve ever into the bottom of the net.
Ava Sarafa for Kentucky. That one will go long.
Yeah, if the line judge had any doubt, the fact that the ball hit her would give her an idea that it was indeed out, and she made the right call. But I like that Georgia
tried to get out of the way, too.
Yep. I like that Georgia's trying to force the ball into that middle side out with Cece Gooch. Good job.
Maneke. Two-arm lobbed over. There's Jordan Daly, the redshirt freshman, putting it on the back row.
I'm thinking Coach Black will be calling a timeout right now to slow down this run by Kentucky, but that's a nicely make something happen and come up with an upset. And knowing how well they've played at home this year, you have to be thinking that that's exactly what their plan is coming into the match today.
That one right back into the teeth of the block of Kentucky. Emma Grome and Jordan Daly.
Yeah, and a great block out of the timeout. Georgia trying to come out of the timeout and get that quick side out, but Kentucky executing again.
Big pin. Kentucky has tied it at 19. That one getting past the block. Good back row dig by Bevan. Georgia goes over the block that time. Kentucky does the same. And Kentucky's block was there and ready, and Georgia's able to fit it through the second time.
Yeah, I really like that heads-up play that time by Cece Gooch. I mean, that ball was blocked, but blocked into the tape, and she's back up off of her feet and sees the hole on the floor and puts it away. And one of the things is at the discretion of the up ref.
It gives Georgia a 20-19 lead here as we get late into set number one. Left pin attack there that time from Asia Thigpen.
Yeah, such a beautiful ball off of Emma Grome's hands too. Really fast tempo set. Just came off perfectly. Thigpen's timing was perfect as well. Easy side out.
Serve dying as he across that 10-meter line. Here's block off from Kentucky. That one goes wide. And we trade points back and forth.
Really nice swing by Maneke. She had a full block of Megan Wilson and Jordan Daly, but went high off the hands. Huge ricochet back towards the Georgia bench. Really smart swing.
Rome, that one off the Georgia block there. Megan Wilson, the senior.
Yeah, and they like to run Megan Wilson, even though she's the opposite. They like to run her out of the middle on some of those serve-receive patterns. Been quite effective so far here in set one. Georgia could look to make a few adjustments to get a better, more solid block up against her there. Maybe bring the right pin over to help a little bit as well, when possible.
Tied at 21, and a tough time for a service error there as Kentucky puts this one out the back line.
Hey, you can't help but think a little bit, you know, we've seen up and down from Asia Thigpen so far in this first set. Being one of the youth on the floor, definitely something I'm sure she's still playing into, and Georgia going right back at her off of the serve. And she answered. Great ball out there, delay.
Outside from Topeka, Kansas. Tools that one off Georgia's block.
A nice pass again by Thigpen, really going intentionally high off the hands of Clara Brower. Brower a little bit smaller at 5'9", so that's a really advantageous matchup for delay going against that small block.
Kentucky struggling here from the service line. That's back-to-back serves that have misfired and given Georgia the point and the serve.
Yeah, that's their 5th service error in set 1 alone.
TC team should be getting into the postseason, and we've heard from so many coaches that have said there are no gimmies this year.
Yeah, not even a match you can take off. I mean, we were just talking with the sports information director before the match for Kentucky, and he was saying, used to you could count on a match or two, but that is not the case this year at all.
Kentucky with a good block there, and Georgia unable to get it back over, so we are tied at 23.
And you'll notice Georgia bringing in a blocking sub when they're serving, and Clara Brower's in the front row. They just brought Kaya Tyson in to play that last point, and then quickly got Brower back into the match.
That one tooled off the Kentucky block. Georgia will have set point here in set number 1.
And Georgia gets MK Patton back on the front row as Clara Brower goes back to serve. So much bigger go-to side out here at this tough time. And they've got Brooke Bultema, the freshman middle blocker. And then, of course, Emma Groom is live right now. She's a front row setter, so she could also take the ball over on 2 as well.
Tapped over, sliding in was Bevan. And that one off Brower, and what a great job on the back row by Bailey Cox to keep that one off the floor. Best rally we've seen of the set, and it coming in a big time. And Kentucky answers with Brooke Bultema.
A really great swing by Brooke Bultema, and delay had 2 incredible opportunities there on the left pin.
Getting swept, but definitely going to have to go on the road and win some matches here late in the season.
Yeah, and needing to find a way to finish. I mean, certainly they've been in control of this entire set 1. Kentucky's gotten back into being even, but it's not like Kentucky's taken much of a lead, and so to lead most of set 1, and remains to be seen whether they'll be able to hold on to this set 1 and win. But now you've got Kentucky with a set point here. Did the Dogs reset and refocus?
Bailey Cox first to touch it there on the back row for Georgia. Here comes Georgia on the attack. It was Erica Lovett. Here's Thigpen firing down, and that one's going to hit the floor.
That was the most significant authoritative swing by Thigpen I've seen all set.
No challenge from Georgia.
Megan Wilson, 4 of 5, no hitting errors. Brooke Bultema, 3 of 3. Three touches, 3 kills, and a really big one towards the end of set 1 when they really needed a side out. And then Jordan Daly just having 1 swing, but it was money. So Kentucky still able to pass with a high enough efficiency that Groom could feed the ball into the middle and into the right side. So Georgia needs to continue doing what they're doing on the left pin, and then just see if they can't generate a few more touches on those middle attacks. Keep trying to get Kentucky out of rhythm off of serve receive to make it easier to score points. In every other category, Georgia really playing even with Kentucky, but a little bit of a downer to play so well in set 1 and be leading most of the set and then not be able to finish. But again, that's one of the things that we've really talked about, and one of the things that Georgia is working on. They have been competitive in every match. No one questions that. But can they finish? Can they execute when they need the points the most? And that's their challenge, coming in here to set 2 now, down 1 set against a really strong Kentucky team.
So Georgia will serve to open set number 2. And Bailey Cox will fire it away for Georgia. 26-24 Kentucky there in set 1. That one's going to drop in for a Kentucky point to open set number 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, that looked like what we called in the olden days campfire defense. Let's just all sit around and watch that ball fall in the middle of the floor.
Sit in a circle and enjoy us some more.
Oh, I think any one of those players could have gone and picked up that ball, just nobody went.
And Georgia's going to get aced off the serve as Erica Lovett has that one come off of her arms. And it's 2-0 Kentucky here.
Yeah, you know, it's easier said than done in these situations to shake off like such a solid effort in set 1 and not come up with anything tangible. But what Georgia really has to do at this point is play at one point at a time and not allow one mistake to become 3 or 4 mistakes. Such an interesting rally delay. Pasted that ball into the belly basically of Bailey Cox, but she kept it off the ground. Georgia had an opportunity to stay in the point and then had a hitting error after it. So Kentucky out to a quick 3-point lead off of some bad defense and ace, and just struggling a little bit with ball control here to start.
Georgia nearly got aced there again, and that one's going to split the block, and Kentucky will take the 4th point to open set number 2.
Yeah,
and Georgia's going to call timeout.
This is kind of how Kentucky started.
You maybe feel the pressure of you need to win one at home. Gets down 4-0 quick. Tom Black quick on that timeout.
Yeah, and making a change too with Krista Blakely coming in for MK Patton. I do think that, the morale of Georgia coming out of that set 1 into set 2, didn't invoke a lot of confidence from the outside looking in, and maybe Coach Black felt like if he called the timeout, he could reset and say, come on, we got to stop this. And then, getting that timeout and then Kentucky coming and putting one in the net, I'm sure he's feeling like that was the best decision he's made so far this match. Because Georgia definitely needing the side out and needing to reset.
Saw Malatuso there wearing 12 for Kentucky. This one will drop to the back row and a left pin attack that time for Kentucky. Brooklyn delay.
Yeah, again, one of the best parts of set 1 for Georgia as far as their defense against Kentucky was how quiet they were able to keep the left pin, stick pin, and delay. Definitely don't need them getting going here if Georgia wants to come back and tie this set up 1-1.
Eleanor Bevan misfiring on the serve there. We'll give it back to Georgia. Kentucky leading 5-2.
Kentucky still struggling from behind that service line. It's the 8th service era early here already. And 1 set and a little.
That one gets tangled up there in the Georgia block as Georgia had jumped a little early. Sophie Fisher coming back down.
Yeah, Erica Lovett saw that it was a tip and went down for it, but at the last minute, Fisher got a little bit of it and it ricocheted in a different direction. That's a case where the block defense didn't help.
Fire serve there as Bailey Cox sent that one skyward on the return. Here's thick pin from the left side. Point Kentucky.
You can tell thick pin works really hard in transition. Fireball out there, Energizer Bunny-esque. Up swinging.
Kentucky with another point there.
Yeah, getting a sense that Kentucky is starting to feel it now after being able to overcome that deficit for pretty much all of set 1 and come out with a set 1 victory. And now it's getting a little bit easier to score points here in set 2. Georgia needs to find an answer.
Tight one to the net there. Bailey Cox goes sliding into the chair, couldn't get there in time.
And the entirety of that timeout to try to fire up the girls and inspire a little bit better morale.
See Brooklyn delay there with the 6 kills. That leads the way for Kentucky here this afternoon. Deanna Beneke has got 6 for Georgia. And off to a great start here in set 2 for Kentucky.
You know, and something that we haven't said yet is that Sophie Fisher hasn't been much of a factor. Even as well as Georgia was playing in set 1, Fisher did not get a kill in the entirety of set 1. That last attack right there was Sophie Fisher's first kill on the match.
Tight to the net, thick pin. She'll hit the antenna as she went across. And Georgia will get the point.
Yeah, each point scored at this point is gold for the Dogs. They really work hard to score points off of their serve, minimize the deficit. That was a heavy, heavy swing by Asia Thigpen. She went clear inside the block, wrist away. She had a really solid look. Just went around the block.
Kentucky into double figures now at 10. Tooled off the block. Georgia with the point. Erica Lovett there from that left side.
Yeah, nicely done by Lovett to get up and tool that ball off the block, turning that ball down the line off of the smaller block. Emma Groom. It's her best matchup. Asia Thigpen was in much of the same situation going against the 5'9" Clara Brower. Of course, now Blair on the back row. She's got a larger block in Krista Blakely.
Thigpen on the attack. Brower on the back row there for Georgia. Here comes Kentucky, and that one right to Clara Brower. That one knocked her flat of her back, man.
Yeah, and the one before, I mean, she took in front of her face two incredibly tough shots right at Clara Brower, and she's there for it. She almost came up with that second one as well. She's such a warrior on that court in all 6 positions. Obviously, quarterbacking the team is the setter, but she plays solid defense. She's tough on the service line, and she puts up a fierce block, even though she's only 5'9".
Big dig, that one all the way to the net. Krista Blakely there, able to tap it over for Georgia.
Yeah, and I think Cece Gooch was trying to, you know, put one in the face of a Wildcat, kind of like what just happened to Clara Brower. Blakely did clear it up, but the heat of that package came from Gooch.
Five-point lead here for Kentucky. That one splitting through the Georgia block. Cece Gooch and Krista Blakely there as Thigpen on the attack.
Yeah, that time I feel like Krista Blakely needs to get set up on her block a little bit more and get her left hand back into the seam a little bit more strongly. Help Cece Gooch get close so there's not as much of a hole for Thigpen to hit through.
Kentucky with the point there after that one goes wide.
It's a nice swing by Gooch, just a touch long, but I really like that attack route out of the serve receive. Like that Clara Brower is trying to continue to get Gooch into the offense as much as possible, take some pressure off of the pin attackers for Georgia.
Brower blocked back, good block there for Kentucky. Jordan Daly in on that one alongside Megan Wilson. And Kentucky with the point.
Kentucky finding some answers on that block defense multiple times in the same point, really getting significant touches. Jordan Daly moving from side to side
see how
really
much
well.
delay goes over that net and able to keep those arms up off.
Yeah, it was impressive. She really did a great pressing. That ball was completely on the Georgia side.
Punched over, fought back, and that one waterfalled off the net on the Georgia side, and Kentucky will take the 15th point here of set 2.
And Delay at 6'2", but she's so strong. So when those shoulders, she's pressing those shoulders over the net, and that ball touches the net, they don't move at all. It's a complete and total wall.
Serve way too strong there from Thigpen, and that one will go out the back for the service error. 9th of the day for Kentucky. Georgia was yet to get an ace on the service line. Till now, as that one's going to be aced for Georgia, its first ace.
Typically, we do that in the opposite direction. We talk about how well a player's doing. And I don't know if that brings out the worst in the player, but that time we did it in reverse.
Yeah, the broadcast jinx, a real thing that time, working in Georgia's favor. Brower just shot put it back over there on the back row.
Really well done that time by Georgia to keep that ball in play, stay in the rally. And then what a great, a beautiful dig, of course, by Clara Brower, but then the block defense by Moneke and Fisher. Moneke pretty much getting that done all alone there. Single block. Sophie Fisher was working to get out there, but Moneke took care of it.
And couldn't pancake that one. Georgia with another ace. They respond here after Kentucky taking the timeout. See if Kentucky's able to clean its play up just a little bit. Kentucky really want to get a set 2 win, go up 2-0.
Nice serve that time by Bailey Cox, putting Thigpen on her heels. Georgia's going to get an opportunity in transition, but
Georgia's in the net.
Colin, Clara Brower in the net that time. That's unfortunate, because that was in essence a free ball that Georgia would have had an opportunity to score in transition. But if any part of a player touches the net, it's an immediate net foul, and the point goes to the opponent.
That one off Thigpen's face as that one comes back towards us, and she hops up and is okay. Several hot shots to the moneymaker here this afternoon.
A really nice swing by Sophie Fisher. Thigpen not able to really get her hands up in front of her face, but tries to make the dig off her shoulder, and it's just not that reliable. Shoulders are not meant for digging. Bummer. Georgia trying to get momentum, but unable to capitalize on the side out as that ball served into the net.
It's going to send Eleanor Bevan back to serve here for the Wildcats. Sophie Fisher off the touch.
Yeah, getting going. Definitely they need Fisher to get going on offense. 3 kills so far here in this set 2. Again, did not get onto the scoreboard on the offensive side in set 1. That ball swung out that time. Sophie Fisher came around on a route behind the setter off of 1 foot. Swung down the line, but wide, or long, I should say.
Fisher, one-handed pop there that time as Tuzzo. First touch there for Kentucky, and that one off contact, and Kentucky inching closer to that 20-point mark here in set 2.
That easy opportunity for them to set their offense up in transition. It's a really nice serve by DeLay, had Georgia on their heels. Sophie Fisher could really just tap that ball back over, and Kentucky did a great job of setting up their offense. And here she comes back with another ace. That one clips the tape of the net coming over, and then Moneke and Cox miscommunicated on who was going to make a play on that ball.
Many points now for the Wildcats as Brooklyn DeLay. That one off of Maneke on the back row.
Yeah, and truly, that is the brilliance of Emma Groom right there. That ball is passed so tight to the net, but Groom gets up there from the back row, keeps that ball in play, puts that ball to the pin in tempo. Thigpen doesn't have a double block, and she can just nail that ball into the middle of the floor.
Into the Kentucky block. That one rattling off the pin, and Georgia with the point, and Erica Lovett there from the outside.
Yeah, and when DeLay is on point with her serve, it's really difficult serve to handle in a way that you can set up your offense. Bailey Cox doing a good job to slow that serve down and give Georgia an opportunity to side out.
Kentucky answering back, and up 9 now as we get late into set number 2.
Georgia just trying to get something going, but not much going their way. Kentucky executing at a much higher clip here in set 2 and playing more relaxed, playing from a position of strength. They were on their heels a good bit in set 1, and that has not been the case here in set 2.
Maneke punches that one over.
Look at that dig by Bailey Cox.
Good effort to keep it alive. Maybe the biggest rally we've seen here so far this afternoon as that one rolls in the tape, and Georgia couldn't get back to that one that time as it goes deep into the Georgia bench, and Bailey Cox always sacrificing the body.
Yeah, and you see Coach Black really encouraging his athletes that time. The effort on that point, you can't do better than that. That was an incredible dig by Bailey Cox. A bummer for Georgia to have to lose that point after such a valiant effort.
Georgia will get the serve back here as Krista Blakely back onto the floor now for Georgia, playing a fair amount here in set number 2. As MK Patton stands to the side watching. Sophie Fisher out of the contest right now. Cece Gooch on the block there that time. Maneke on the back row. Here's Lovett. Set for Thigpen. A little tangle up there for Georgia. Blakely on the attack. Wildcats on that time, it was delayed. This one blocked. There's Lovett going at it once again. Back and forth, they fight there at the net. Thigpen has this one blocked back. And Georgia in the net.
But a great rally, to be sure. Really fun to watch. High-level volleyball on both sides of the net, that rally. Kentucky really lopsided in this set to the scoreboard anyway, but Georgia making them earn their points.
Set point there, and Kentucky another service error. We've seen a couple more here late in set number 2. 10 service errors.
Yeah, if Georgia can figure out a way to capitalize on those Kentucky service errors and use them to their advantage, maybe that will be the thing that can turn the tide of this match around.
And that one off of the Georgia contact, and Kentucky will win.
She's going to terminate the rally, and often that's exactly what happens when she's the last one to touch the ball.
Sophomore from Topeka, Kansas. Tied for the contest lead with 8 kills, Asia Thigpen. Fellow Wildcat with 8.
You asked earlier in the match, when does a freshman become not a freshman? Well, I think for Brooklyn DeLay, that happened really early last year. So I think it varies by player, but you know, you look at DeLay and you're like, just a sophomore? How is that possible? You got more than half of her career ahead of her. It was really impressive start to her career last year, and then of course coming in right where she left off from last year this year.
McGrome on the serve here for the Wildcats after Kentucky took that opening point.
And MK Patton back in for the Dogs.
Tooled off the Georgia block, and Georgia's gonna have to find something here in set 3, down 2-0 at home.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, when we were calling the match on Friday and Georgia was off to the slow start in set 1 and set 2, they brought in Krista Blakely and then came back with MK Patton in set 3, and she really settled in and started playing better. You wonder, with a freshman being in and out, if that is a challenge for her psyche at all. So we'll watch and see how she does over the course of this third set. Often coaches will challenge and be correct. So typically the players and the coaches see how it actually went down on the floor and are right in the replay, just not that time.
See the antenna bouncing over there as Georgia gets the point, tied at 2 now.
Got Asia Thigpen bouncing around, getting ready. Georgia likely going after her on that serve as much as they can.
And a misfire there. Georgia with 2 aces now on the day and what will be its 6th service error.
And speaking about Asia Thigpen, as we watch her miss her serve, it is always impressive to me when a true freshman can come into a program from high school and play in all 6 rotations with relative ease. And even though she had a slow start in set 1, you're doing a nice job here, leading all players with 9 kills on the night with that slow start, coming back and really doing well.
Thigpen comes sliding in there on that one. Here's Delay on the attack.
And again, that ricochet is seriously off of the court, showing just how hard Delay is attacking that ball into the Georgia block, highlighting her power once again.
Tuzzo. Brower falling down over there for Georgia. And this one will go wide on the attack from the Wildcats.
And I appreciate Delay's reaction to that swing. That definitely was an errant swing. She came down immediately and was like, that was just not a wise swing. She was playing what I like to call outside of body. She tried to take a swing that her body was not in position to make. And that looked 100% different. Her swing that time was beautiful, right into the hole of the block. She nailed the seam.
Double-digit kills now.
Off the hands of Maneke for an easy Kentucky side out.
Delay the only attacker now into double figures on kills.
That right there was a beautiful swing by Erica Levitt. That ball was thrown well into the seam of the block, and she had to go up high, find hands, swing high off the hands. She was able to make that happen and convert on the side out kill. Really nice display of athleticism on a tough set.
That one off of Estelle Haugen, who is in the contest now for the first time. That one splitting the Georgia block there. CeCe Gooch manning the net for Georgia.
Yeah, totally can see how Brooke Bultema is quickly becoming a premier middle, especially on offense in the SEC. Really has a quick whip, gets off her feet quickly, puts the ball away with authority from that middle position.
That one rolls across the top of the net. Good attack there from Lovett.
Another really nice swing by Erica Levitt to get the side out back for the Dogs. Playing much more even here in set 3 than they did in set 2. It's been a back and forth set so far.
Blocked back. And it's Bultema on the attack there for the Wildcats, and a great block for Georgia, and CeCe Gooch with a big smile.
At that time, Bultema was up just a little bit too quickly on her attack approach and was hitting that ball on her way down, and the Georgia block took advantage of it. When a player has to hit the ball on their way down, they don't have as much power, and often get blocked easier.
Georgia going to block this one off the Kentucky defender and have this one go wide. And here's Georgia now with a 2-point lead in set 3. Georgia misfiring on the serve there after a 3-0 run.
Yeah, but yet again, Georgia finally starts to get some momentum, and then they inflict like a self-inflicted side out. Definitely not something that Georgia needs to be doing. They need to. That's one of the ways, even at .7 or .8, that they work to finish a set. They're going to get a break here as Kentucky goes and has an errant serve from the service line again, but Georgia really needs to keep the pressure onto Kentucky, and you've got to execute from the service line to make that happen.
Georgia by 2 now. Erica Lovett on the serve there, and this one off of her on the back row. Kentucky will be within 1.
Yeah, another prime example of those really impressive swings from behind the 3-meter line by Brooklyn DeLay, coming from the middle back into the right side of the court, splitting the Georgia block from behind the 3-meter line. Really tough to handle.
McGrome on the serve. Maneke on the attack. That one off of Wilson. And Daly there at the net. Georgia into double figures.
And Maneke just powering that ball through a solidly set up block by Daly and Wilson. Just blowing those shoulders off the net. That ball hits their shoulders, blows them backwards.
This one's going to be blocked wide by Georgia, and just the lightest little touch there, but enough to send it back over.
Yeah, anytime a block goes up, but the shoulders and the hips aren't closed back in towards the center of the court, there's a tendency for those blocks to get tooled, and that was a perfect example of it right there by Megan Wilson. Clara Brower doing all she could to keep that ball in play with a swing in transition. You see her sliding on the back of the court, and then she barely gets back up in time before Kentucky's firing again, that time at Bailey Cox. Too much to handle. A nice swing by Maneke, but just a little bit wide. Now Kentucky is going to go up by a 1-point lead. Really important for Georgia to settle in inside out here. They've been playing really neck and neck with the Wildcats through the course of this set 3, which is a must-win set for them. Definitely got a good look that time. Clara Brower had all 3 of her options, and she got a beautiful ball out to Maneke, who put that one away without any contest from the block defense of Kentucky.
Tied at 11 as Estelle Haugen serving it there for Georgia. Brower is going to set Maneke. And here's Kentucky. And Brooklyn DeLay on the attack.
That's a bit of a bummer for the Dogs. Georgia had a good look in transition, but Maneke got a little bit crossed up with her footwork and was unable to go up for a solid swing in transition, and that gave Kentucky an opportunity to fire back in transition and convert for the point.
Good right side attack there, that time in transition.
I always feel so proud of themselves when they get the challenge, and they totally, honestly, it's fun to watch because, you see a lot of calls that are maybe worth challenging, but typically the wisdom of the coaches to call the challenges at just the right time, and sometimes they see things that others don't see in the arena. It's really impressive.
That one's going to be blocked wide by Georgia.
Yeah, I often wonder sometimes how the line
is possible.
And even though he would have gotten the timeout break at 15, he goes ahead and calls it, which just shows you how important he thinks it is for Georgia to stay close and not let Kentucky get a sizable lead.
Kentucky getting the point here out of the timeout.
Yeah, Georgia's getting an out of rotation call. I believe they're saying that Clara Brower left too early.
Tom Black he's talking with the team.
Oh, actually, I don't think that was Clara Brower. I think what you have there is you have Bailey Cox was, I believe, in front of Erica Lovett, and everybody has to be lined up just the right way when you're out of rotation.
Self-inflicted error there, and you hate to have that if you're Georgia already trailing here in set 3.
Important side out that time for Georgia. After struggling to side out, taking that timeout, getting that kind of obscure, you don't see it much, out of rotation call.
That one dropped in front of a sliding Bailey Cox.
Yeah, that was a beautiful play by Brooklyn DeLay because Bailey Cox was really getting deep to play the deep line shot, a hard hit ball. DeLay saw that. High volleyball IQ, saw the court vision. I can just tap this one right over the block and it's going to go down, and it did just that.
Here's Bevan on the serve. That one's going to drop in just inside the line in front of the Kentucky bench for the Georgia point. 13th point for Georgia here in set 3. It's a 4-point Kentucky lead. Now Georgia with the serve. Needing to put a little run together here. Into the Georgia block, and Georgia's just going to send this one straight back up, and Erica Lovett tangling with the official stand there, trying to make a play.
Yeah, I think the official on the stand felt like she just went through an earthquake. As you see, watch, Erica Lovett comes around here in that stand.
Ooh. Full grab of it there, yeah.
Full grab of it, yep.
Just trying to slow her momentum down as Georgia goes over on 2. Kentucky just having to lob that one back over. And that one is going to get blocked wide. Grom and Baltimore combining there on the block for Kentucky.
Yeah, you get the sense that as M.K. Patton comes in here on this front row that Georgia really needs her name to be called a couple of times on block defense to try to get some momentum. See if she can't stop that left pin, Asia Thigpen, who's gotten a little hot.
We saw M.K. Patton come off the floor there in set 2 when Georgia needed to mix up the rotation a little bit there, and a good attack from Kentucky.
Yeah, Baltimore is really impressive off of 1 foot behind the setter. I mean, she really finds that floor quickly, has a really quick and explosive arm swing. The ball comes off of her hands really fast.
Tight to the net. Overcall there on
factor, as they have in some of Georgia's matches so far this season. But overall, attendance numbers for volleyball trending in the right direction across the country, and in Athens, that's also the case.
And a massive block there by the Wildcats as Jordan Daly and Emma Groom both there on the block.
Kind of getting the sense that Georgia doesn't have a lot of wind left in their sails.
Blocked back once again. A couple of bodies coming together. Kentucky trying to time that block. It'll go over. And Kentucky saying a touch, and indeed that'll be the call from the official. No argument from Tom Black.
No, usually the players know on the court exactly whether the ball was touched or not, and every single one of the Kentucky players is coming down with the touch sign of the hand. No doubt on their side that that ball was touched, and line judge saw it, but unable to go back from the service line and make anything else happen, so Georgia will get the side out off of the missed Kentucky serve.
Rome, thick pin. Misfires there. It's back-to-back for Georgia.
A really nice swing. I mean, it sounded great coming off of her hands, just a little bit long.
Sounded good, a little too strong there. Rocket serve here. Set for Maneke. Here's Kentucky having to just lob it back over. Thick pin. Free ball opportunity for Georgia. Tied to the net. Blocked over. Georgia, good hustle there by Bailey Cox to get it back over. Hot shot. That one off of Lovett.
Yeah, you know, Georgia really had an opportunity in transition to convert for a point, and they mishandled a free ball. And, you know, you don't mishandle a free ball like that. Give an opponent an opportunity to come back at you with a swing like that from delay on the back row. Just a missed opportunity for the Dogs.
Big block there for the Wildcats. Cox going back to keep it in. Here's Maneke. Fist block there for the Wildcats. Megan Wilson and Jordan Daly. Those fists clenched there on the block, popping it back in. It's going to be match point for the Wildcats.
We're definitely getting excited about that particular block. Daly and Wilson together. That looks pretty textbook. Taking all the energy out of the Dogs.
Nearly an ace here off the serve. This one's blocked and drops in, and Kentucky in the same weekend. 2 road sweeps for the Wildcats Friday night at South Carolina, and here today a 3-0 sweep